All right, week 2 of the spreads.ca Straz Strong Foundation promo, where they will be donating 25% of all new deposits of $25 to $2,000 to the Straz Strong Foundation until July 31st. All you have to do is go to go.spreads.ca/puck, use the promo code PUCK when you sign up, and click the Straz Strong deposit promo. You'll see the Straz Strong logo right after you enter your email. Again, all you have to do is go to go.spreads.ca/puck, enter the promo code PUCK, and click the Straz Strong logo when you see the deposit. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Athlete Artist Show. I am the artist, Kyle Forge, alongside the athlete, professional hockey player, Zach Boychuk. This week, we have another great guest on the show. He's a multi-platinum and Billboard charting recording artist. You might have heard his hit single, Jordan Belfort. He's the founder of MusicNFTRadio.com. His album, Crypto Rich, is one of the top-selling music NFTs albums in the world. He's known professionally as Dill. Please welcome Mr. Dylan Rhodes.
Yo, what up? Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. Happy to talk about Crypto Rich and everything that I've been doing in Web3 with music and music NFTs. I think it is a super exciting space that is changing the game for music artists. And that's why I've been going all in on music NFTs for almost 2 years now.
Yeah, man, you've been killing the game in terms of music in general and now music NFTs for a while now. I mean, well, let's start. Let's rewind a little bit to the beginning, obviously, with your hit single, Jordan Belfort. That was your, I mean, if you will, your breakout song in terms of, putting you on the map in music. And that came out in 2014, correct? Is when you dropped the single?
Yeah, so I think this single originally came out in the beginning of 2013, actually, when it was first published on SoundCloud, right? And so that was out for a while. It was basically out there, and it took a few years before it really started blowing up. And so, it basically sat on SoundCloud for a couple years, and it took probably a year and a half to get the first 1 million streams. And this was a song that we had just made on our laptop with a Blue Yeti USB microphone, actually, the original version where it started going off. And so what happened was I had just seen the Wolf of Wall Street movie. And at that time, we went and were recording in my friend's basement basically the next day. And I was like, yo, let's make this song about this guy from the movie. And Wes had showed me this beat that ended up becoming the Jordan Belfort beat. And so that's pretty much how it went. We never really knew that was going to be a song that blew up like it did, but it just blew up organically on SoundCloud. And it was one of the first independent singles to really take off through SoundCloud.
And then when the music video came out, it reached a whole new level after that, correct? With those visuals, especially for a party song like that. I mean, you can't get much better than that. You have the yacht, you have the Lambo, you're eating cereal with Ciroc instead of milk. I mean, there are a lot of elements to the song to the video that really, would have captivated that younger audience.
Yeah, definitely. So it's actually a crazy story how that happened. We linked up with someone we had known from our area who went to high school with Wes, named Yofre Ray from College Weekly. And so he had some experience shooting videos, partying videos, and stuff like that. And so when the Jordan Belfort song started taking off and getting popular at colleges, that was just organically on SoundCloud, and we knew we needed to make a video for it. So we called him up, and he had some connections in Miami that allowed us to put together the video. But when we put together the video, we really had no budget. We were independent artists. We actually made the video totally independently, right? So that video came out the way it did, just organically putting together a team, having a grassroots support. Like, we went down there and people actually knew the song. And this was back in the day when we were, like going through Facebook and stuff like that to network with people. So it it was really because of organic support and just like grassroots people finding the song and knowing it and wanting to support the music video and understanding the story of Jordan Belfort and Wolf of Wall Street. So that's all what came together. And I would say the video is what put us on the map in terms of having labels start looking at us and stuff like that.
And the video didn't cost a big budget for you either. It was kind of it was similar to, I mean, the Little Dicky video, like Save That Money. Like you didn't have a big 6-figure budget for this video to get all this stuff done.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I say that all the time. It's like that video, except we didn't record the part where we were getting
Yeah,
access to all stuff, right? But
knocking on the old lady's mansion.
yeah, right. Literally. So it's funny because it's kind of like that, except we didn't, go and record all that part. But it was really because of the support of everyone who loved the song and wanted to see it come to life that really made that happen. So that was incredible. And that's what made labels start calling us and really trying to sign the record, which is crazy, right? Because you would think that that video was created with the label, and plenty of people
Yeah.
do. I mean, if you just look at the YouTube comments and stuff like that, you see all these people saying whatever, but we made that independently. So I think that's what really set the song up to be super successful.
And
Did
so
did Jordan Belfort ever reach out? Like he must have heard the song. I feel like everybody's heard it at this point. And I don't know about like Leo DiCaprio or anything. Have you had any interactions with these guys?
Yeah, so we actually years later, years went by where we didn't get in touch with any of them. And then Jordan Belfort, eventually I got in touch with him when I was out in LA one time. And I ended up getting in touch with somebody who worked for him and then got in touch with him. And I went and recorded a podcast with him on his Wolf's Den podcast. So me and Wes were on his podcast a couple years ago, and it was great to like see it come full circle. It's crazy because when I was writing the song, I was sitting there thinking, well, you know if I make this song, it would be crazy if I meet Jordan Belfort one day, right? And it came full circle then at that moment, but it took so many years. I mean, it wasn't until like 2019, 2020 that we ended up starting to talk to him and going on the podcast.
it's crazy, man. I mean, it just shows that there how much work and goes into music or entertainment in general. A lot, your average fan probably looks at the song, thinks it blew up overnight, got big, you did all this stuff around the same time. A lot of people don't see, like you're saying, this song originally came out in 2013, and a couple years build up before it gained some traction on SoundCloud, going into that video, which really, popped things off, especially in the mainstream and the label wise. And then even years after that, you finally get to sit down with Jordan and you talk about the song and business in general, and basically you sit there in front of the guy that you just made this song completely about in terms of the movie and his life.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
definitely. I mean, it was crazy to have that experience. And, by that time we were already talking about all the tours that we done and stuff like that.
yeah,
And so it was crazy to see that, because also he didn't really know where the song had come from. And I think when he saw that it was just two young guys who were inspired by the story and then put out this record independently, I mean, I think he respected that part of it, right? But I mean, so much stuff had happened by then. We'd already been on a college tour. We'd done deals with labels, went from recording on a USB mic to being in some of the best studios in the world, releasing music independently and seeing what it's like for an artist, right? Because what happened was when we released the music video, record labels started reaching out
yeah,
and looking to sign us to a deal. And so we took one of those deals, and basically we got into a deal with a label to where they never reinvested in us. They never really supported us beyond that one record. And so since then, it's been a process of like releasing my own music, figuring out how to do things independently. Even though we have the Jordan Belfort song, which is obviously a big hit and still, helps to carry me in many ways to this day, still doing shows, getting bookings, and enabling me to create the music that I do now. But at the same time, it's a classic story of like working with the record labels who take all of your ownership and then don't reinvest in you as an artist and don't really give you the platform that they say they will.
And so let's talk about that for a second. With the label, you ended up signing with Atlantic.
Yeah,
that was
correct.
The label. And I think you've talked about it openly before. The only advance they gave you was what, $50K?
Yeah, actually less than that was the advance for Jordan Belfort's song. And then there was a small advance on the next song as well. But it's crazy because if I look back and see the kind of sales that we were already doing, it would have made a lot more sense for us to just stay independent and hold on to the records and let it keep selling. But we were sold this vision of giving it a much bigger platform and that they were going to do all kinds of marketing. And I think there was some effort on that front. But knowing what I know now, I think also that the song was already blowing up and it was sort of the algorithm carrying it. And I don't think the label did that much to take the record to where it is now. So, I mean, even if it would have been a little bit smaller, it would have made a lot more sense financially and for my career for me to keep the ownership of that record. So I learned early the difficulties of dealing with a label and how predatory the deals can be and screwing over artists, right? So that's a big problem with the music industry. It's like so many other stories you hear. And that's really what brought me into Web3, into everything that I'm doing today.
Yeah, and it's, again, looking at people who see things from the outside, it's easy for someone to say, hey, if you were making so much money without the label, why even sign to the label? But you make a good point where these labels are really good at selling you on, the dream and what they can do for you because of their reach. But the people that don't know the industry, it goes back to what you just said is, hey, they're gonna sign you when this song is, at the top of the charts and you're on the top of the world. And then as soon as that starts to fizzle out a little bit, then there goes, all those dreams and promises that they made you. And then now they have ownership of that song for the master, and you're not making those royalties anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And we still make a tiny amount in royalties, but one of the best things for me that I've been saying to explain what I've done in Web3 is that basically in the last year and a half, 2 years, I've sold as much as MusicNFTs as the label paid me in the last almost a decade, right? So wow. I've actually been able to monetize my music independently to more money that I'm making off of a multi-platinum hit single with the label, right? But everyone thinks that most of the funding would come from that song, but realistically, they're paying me not even close to a living wage from that song every year in royalties. While meanwhile, they've made over $2 million from the record, right? So we've only seen a small percentage of that. And that's the problem with the way deals are set up, that artists can get in a situation where the label owns all of their stuff and they're not even reinvesting in the artist.
And so pretty quickly after that, is when you got into the music NFT game then, hey?
Yeah, I would say not necessarily quickly, because I would say from about 2016 to 2018, I was totally focused on crypto. And I was really looking for the next move, because by 2016 or so, 2017, the touring had slowed down a bit. I was actually back in school finishing my college degree, because I was like halfway through when I started touring. So I went on tour and then I went back to finish. and stopped making music at the same rate I was. And I was really focused on crypto, and I started building a business in crypto called Advantage Blockchain here in Philly. And so that was great. And I learned a lot about crypto. And, that was a time when I was kind of looking for the next move and seeing what I wanted to do. But after a few years in crypto, I just started to realize that what I really wanted to do was go back to music, because that's what I'm passionate about. And as much as there was potential in crypto, I just really wanted to do what made me happy and what I was passionate about. And, ultimately I am an artist, and that's what I want to be focused on. So that's what brought me back to music. And I was looking for a way to reconnect with my audience and to make music that was true to me and something that would be interesting and innovative. And that's where Crypto Rich came from. And so in 2018, I started writing Crypto Rich and released it in 2019. And it was the first album to tell a story about crypto through music. So before that, there were a few singles and other things, songs or, projects that had a little bit of crypto influence. But Crypto Rich was the first album to tell a story about crypto when I released it in 2019.
So is that on the Ethereum blockchain? Like, it's just like a regular NFTs, like you go to OpenSea, you can buy the music NFT, or how exactly does it work?
Yeah, so when I released Crypto Rich in 2019, there really wasn't music NFTs like you hear about them today. I mean, back then it was a lot more, there wasn't a way to sell your music for crypto. And so I released Crypto Rich just normally distributing it to all platforms. And for a couple years, I was really focused on that. And so 2019 is when Crypto Rich came out. 2021 is when I first minted a music NFT. So I was focused on music videos, promoting the album traditionally, just getting the music out there. And it wasn't until the end of 2020 that I started to see CryptoPunks and some of these other collections coming up, and realizing that music was going to be sold through NFTs, right? And that was going to be the best way to monetize your music on the blockchain. So at first, it wasn't totally obvious that you were going to be able to sell music through NFTs. I mean, you started to see people talking about like rights management and all of like putting royalties on chain and some of these ideas that are still around today. But to me, that's not really what ended up making the most sense. What I think makes the most sense now is music NFTs that are more like purchasing the master, like a vinyl of the music, where you're not getting ownership of the music, you're getting ownership of a collectible related to the music. It might contain the music. It gives some kind of utility and special access features. But it took a while for me to see that path, because it was a little bit easier to see the potential of like connecting some kind of royalties to the NFT or like ownership related. But that is not necessarily where I see all of the value now. And I've actually chosen to stay away from that stuff because of legal concerns and because of the complexity. And so I've built a lot of value around selling the music and access to my ecosystem.
So are you in there? Are you talking about similar to like securities tokens, where you'd be selling like a percentage of the song itself, and that whoever buys it gets a royalty off of it? Is that what you're saying you wanted to stay away from?
Yeah, that's right. So I've chosen to stay away from that. Gotcha. What I view it more as is a product, right? So when you buy my NFT, you get access to come to my shows. You get access to my merch and discounts on my merch. You get access to metaverse concerts. You get access to MusicNFT radio on Spaces. So when you buy that NFT, it's a usable product, right? That's what you're paying for, is a product that can be used to access various different things that I offer, events that I'm putting on, services that I offer, and just access to my community, being able to join the collectors chats and do the various things that we do on a weekly basis, events wise, right? So it's really access to that whole ecosystem. Plus, it's similar to collecting a vinyl or a trading card or buying a rookie card, right? Because what you're doing is you're ultimately investing into my ecosystem, right?
Sure.
So when you own a rookie card, or you make a bet on a sports game or something like this, that's a different way to connect to the game, potentially even financially, right? If you're a big time collector of some kind of item, whether it's sports memorabilia or other types of collectibles, you're investing into that, right? So it's not just about the utility, it's about being able to invest into the music and own a collectible for the music, just like if you were to buy a vinyl record, right? If you look up, for example, Nirvana collectible vinyls, Nirvana did a very interesting, a lot of them where there's different rarities, there's one of 1,000, there's one of 100, one of 10,000, whatever the number that were printed are. And you can find out the different numbers for different albums and whether there was some kind of special edition. And so we're really replicating that digitally. And it's not totally new. There's all different types of collectibles. And this is something that's been happening for a long time. But now we can replicate it digitally for music. And so that's what I'm focused on, is creating these collectibles so that people can own pieces of the music.
Did you have any troubles or like kind of trial and error in terms of transitioning your fan base over from, mainly streaming platforms to, the crypto side, in terms of the music NFTs? Because, having people go from, just listening to your music on Spotify to actually, having to, get Ethereum, go through the whole process to be able to purchase your music NFTs. Did you have any sort of issue there converting a lot of your fan base?
So the thing is that with music NFTs, the whole point is it shouldn't change anything for the listener who's just wanting to listen to the music casually. So anyone who's not interested in NFTs or isn't interested in learning about this and owning a piece of the music via purchasing it isn't going to learn about this. So I think that I have spent a lot of time trying to onboard people. I've onboarded thousands of people to the space. However, I think it's important to note that it doesn't change anything for the listener who's in Web 2 and streaming. I still release everything on streaming. That is the most important piece to me. The music itself is the marketing plan for the product, which is the NFT, right? So the music should be out there for people to stream so that it can get popular and hit charts and be available on YouTube. And all of that content is helping to further monetize the NFT by promoting your brand. So the NFT has to offer something more than just a listening experience, right? Because the listening experience should be easy and free. And even with music NFTs, you can just listen to the NFT without owning it too. So most of what's happening here is not about paying to listen to the music in Web3. And what I always say to artists looking at the space, thinking about whether or not to come in, a lot of artists are wondering, well, maybe my fans won't get this. What is important to realize is that there's $1 million or $1 billion opportunity here without onboarding any one of your fans, right? And that's not to downplay the value of trying to onboard your fan base. It's just the point is this is a brand new and different market. Right. So if I wanted to sell my music in a different country, let's say Europe, right, I might repackage it a little bit. I might change some things about the delivery process and shipping process. And I might have to do some different type of marketing to sell my music in Europe. Right. I might have to go tour there, do stuff like that. But I'm not going to get all of my fans. I'm not trying to tell all of my fans to move to Europe. Right. What I'm trying to do is bring my brand to Europe through my music, right, and give it to a new market. So what we need artists to realize is that the metaverse and Web3 is a completely new territory for your music. You might need to repackage it as an NFT. You're going to need to learn a couple things about how to release it as an NFT and repackage the content. But then you are taking your music to a brand new market where people have not heard you before, but there's people who are active in that market and buy music. So while it's important to onboard your fans, I think it's a lot more like taking your music to Europe, but Europe is the metaverse, right? And so you need to take your music to the metaverse and start marketing it in the metaverse in a way that makes sense. Do metaverse concerts, go on Twitter Spaces and talk to NFT collectors, right? Find the people that are actually active in this market already and get them to be interested in your brand and your music. So it's a lot more like that rather than focusing on onboarding your fan base. The most successful music NFT artists I've seen are getting 90% of their sales from the NFT community and people that already do NFTs, right? Onboarding is just a smaller piece of it. And it's more about taking your brand to the NFT space. If you have a really strong brand that everyone knows, then everybody who wants and has NFTs is going to want to buy in, right? That's what works best. So it's really about taking your brand to the NFT space. You don't have to be a big artist. You can be a small upcoming artist who just pushes really hard on connecting with the NFT people, and you can be very successful doing that. So that's what's cool about NFTs. You don't need 1 million followers. You just need to put in the work within the community to find the people that are actually buying NFTs.
Man, I think that was so perfectly said how you just placed that, because I've talked to a lot of artists who, you know, aren't in the NFT game or in the crypto game at all yet, and I think a lot of artists talk about doing it and, you know, what would we do, you know, what process they would take, but a lot are nervous because they don't know a lot of what you just said. You know, they're nervous because they think they might have to, you know, onboard every single one of their, you know, regular listening fans that aren't into crypto and try to convert them into crypto, and then that just kind of makes them nervous. And, you know, you bring up a good point in terms of it's not changing the experience for the listener, which is a big thing. And I think that's going to make one, artist less nervous to, you know, try something new. Two, the fans, it's going to make them more comfortable as well, because they're not going to be thinking that you're just trying to onboard them to a completely whole new world the entire time. They can still listen to your music and either learn slowly if they want to, or dive right into the complete other side of things.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, I think this is something that I'm very opinionated about. I think the music should always be available for all the listeners. Now, if I wanted to do like one exclusive song after I've really built my brand and stuff like that, then maybe that would be cool. But for new artists getting into the space, I mean, you should be releasing your music everywhere, because the best chance you have of growing as an artist is to get exposure for your music. And so to me, that's what it's all about. It's about selling these products to the Web3 community, repackaging your music, adding some cool features and access to you. I mean, it's a new way to sell concert tickets. It's a new way to sell merch. It's a new way to sell the products an artist already wants to sell, but to sell it to a new community. Yeah. And so that's what it's all about. Like, I want all artists to come into the space and realize you should still be putting your music on streaming. You should still be doing all of that. When someone buys the NFT, they're more likely to listen on streaming. They're going to become your top streamer. They're going to comment on your videos. They're going to support you. And that's what's important. I don't want anyone listening to the NFT or, you know, you can download the album if you want, but everybody understands that it's more helpful for the artist to be streaming and to get that music going up the charts. And, you know, people think that it's all about having some kind of royalty collection or, you know, connection to drive that kind of behavior, but it's not. People stream the music that they love. People stream the artists they want to support. And it's not about getting some tiny, you know, impossible to fathom how small the amount of royalty you would get from each stream is when you're doing that, right? Yeah. So rather let the artist keep the funding so that they can add more value to the NFT long term. And that's kind of how I see it going. And let the NFT collector decide when they want to sell, right? That's why my NFTs have created so much value for my community, is because, you know, they give all types of access to me and everything I'm doing. People believe in what I'm doing. I'm able to find people that are buying more NFTs. And if somebody wants to sell, they can go ahead and sell. That's their path to liquidity. So it's not about the connection to any kind of royalties or revenue for me.
Perfectly said,
Like,
man.
and like nowadays, like what's your day look like now? Like you said, you were in crypto so early. Were you into day trading? Like, do you trade other NFTs? It seems like you're always on meetings and busy with your schedule. So, what are you doing other than just music now?
Yeah, I'm like totally focused on NFTs, music, helping other projects and other creators in the space. Music NFT radio definitely takes up a lot of my day, just trying to bring on artists and get people excited over there, playing music for the community. I also do a lot of like consulting and advisory with marketing and different NFT projects, but also making music, building out my own NFTs and all those kind of things that I do for my community is really important too. But yeah, that's really what I've been focused on. And lately I've been traveling a lot. Like I mentioned, I was at NFT NYC, I was out in Vegas, I've been booking a lot more shows. So it's certainly getting a lot more busy on my end, but it's great. I mean, all of it ultimately is related to music, and I've tried day trading. I've tried all that type of stuff, but I don't know. I've never been super successful with trading. I'm better off buying and holding, and you know, other than that, it just hasn't been the one for me. So I'm a lot happier focused on music and building and stuff like that. But getting into crypto early is really what allowed me to take this path and end up where I am today and be one of the first artists who was making music about crypto, which I never would have done unless I got in early and started to see the potential. So when I made Crypto Rich, the whole reason I did it is because I wanted to use my platform to show people what I had learned about the future for financial freedom and creative freedom. And so that's what Crypto Rich represents to me, is using my platform to inspire others to, you know, find that financial freedom, to become crypto rich, to learn about crypto and Web3. And so that is why I made the album ultimately. And I think it's resonated with people. And I think it's also just a great connection and follow up for the Jordan Belfort song to make the album called Crypto Rich. So I always had that in mind too.
Are you working on any new music right now to follow up Crypto Rich?
Yeah, I have a few things. I'm working on a NFT mixtape right now, which is going to be cool. I also released the Crypto Rich Deluxe, which added 10 new songs. So it's a 19 song album now. I've released some singles recently. And then when the NFT mixtape comes out, then I have another album after that, which I actually pushed back in order to do this NFT mixtape. So,
Wow.
yeah, working on a lot of new music. I have some singles coming out soon. Excited for all that.
Are you working with any other artists, either in this space or out of the space, that you're kind of giving them their first taste of the music NFT and crypto space?
Yeah, well, I've helped onboard over 1,000 artists to the space, all types of independent artists, some artists of all sizes, right? No one super notable that I could think of. Of course, artists within the space that I'm working with, like Sammy Arriaga, Violetta Zeroni, Fifi Wrong, Nifty Sax. There's so many talented artists in the space that I'm working with. But still trying to onboard as many artists as possible and talking and networking with people. And, you know, I think what I want to do is help bring some of these bigger artists into the space. And so I think if they can hear a perspective from another artist who's already done it and who's
For
been in this
sure.
space for a while and who understands some of what I understand, I think it can help them see the potential here. Because a lot of artists, I think they see like a smaller opportunity, let's call it $1 million opportunity to sell some music in a space, whatever. But I see this bigger opportunity that's $1 billion opportunity. I think that NFTs are the tools that will allow an artist to have $1 billion market cap. And so I think once artists really integrate this with their brand and everything that they do and direct connection to them and their shows and concerts and merch, we're going to see some of those bigger brands form out of Web3, where artists can create a lot more value through NFTs and through Web3 and through crypto than they could even in the traditional music industry.
Awesome, man. I think a lot of what you're saying today is going to help a lot of artists who are either just getting involved into the space or are, you know, like I said before, nervous to take their first steps. There's a lot of information that they can even learn from everything that you've said in the show today. Zach, do you have anything else for Dill?
No, that was great. I mean, I think like me and Kyle were talking about this stuff a couple days ago, and I was trying to wrap my head around it, and the way that you explain it, it just makes so much sense. So you can see why, you know, guys like Snoop Dogg and some of these big artists are really trying to get into the metaverse and get that experience to everybody that, you know, wants more than just music. They want to feel like they have a relationship with you. So the way that you explain it, I think it's been great, and it's been nice chatting with you.
Yeah, and it's gonna help a lot of people. Like I said, like my producer out in Nashville, he's always sending me music NFT things on Instagram. He's like, yo, what's this mean? He's like, how can we incorporate this? Like, he's like, I'm like, man, sometimes I'm even confused, like looking at some things that artists are doing, because I think there's a lot of possibilities for artists in this space. Like, they don't have to just do one thing. They can incorporate different things. Like, you incorporate so many different things into your music NFTs, like you were saying, VIPs for concerts, meet and greets, consultations. There's just so much that you could do. And I think, like Zach said, yeah, you said it perfectly. You made it make sense. And I think you're going to make it make sense for a lot of artists that have questions or, you know, didn't quite know. So we thank you very much for coming on today. We know you're super busy. And just one more time before you go, let people know where they can pick up your music NFTs, new stuff you got going on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for anyone who's looking to get into the space, just come hang out on MusicNFT Radio. We do shill time. We let everybody talk and ask questions on there all the time. We do a weekly onboarding space every Sunday. You can join my Discord. Come hang out over there. Go to my website, itslit.org, or go to musicnftradio.com. and look up the Crypto Rich album, listen to the music. Here's what I always say. If you love the music and you want to support what I'm doing because you love the music and you like the story, that's when you buy the NFT, right? So it's not buying an NFT to listen to a song. That's not what MusicNFTs is about. It's about buying an NFT to support the artist and become a part of their community and a part of their journey, right? And be incentivized to help their future career. So that's what it's all about. Check it out. You can look up Dill on OpenSea and you'll find all of my collection.
Perfect, man. Again, thank you so much, and good luck with the new mixtape and then the new album after that. You got a lot going on. So hopefully you can make some time in your schedule from all these speaking events, shows, to get these albums out, because I'm excited for them.
Yeah, man. Thanks. Appreciate it. And thanks for having me on, guys. This was awesome.
Thanks for coming, man. Appreciate it. All right, some free agency talk here. Chucky, what are you thinking about what's been going on so far today? Free agent frenzy just starting. What do we have at the time of this recording? 33 re-signings so far, or re-signings/signings?
Yeah, it's been crazy. Not just today, like the last couple of days. You know, seeing some guys leave some of their teams they've been with their whole career. Some guys who are ended up staying, like Malkin, and you see the Blackhawks just unloading everybody at the draft, and now they got a couple more guys. So it's been a crazy week for free agent and in the NHL.
Yeah, it's interesting. Malkin ending up re-signing after basically him coming out and saying that they weren't offering him the term that he wanted originally, I think, and then he ended up getting the 4 years that he wanted. So interesting to see that he ended up re-signing there. I mean, great for the Pens. I think they'll be able to have a couple more years of him and Sid and kind of circle back to that. But what do you think of him returning to Pitt?
Yeah, honestly, I thought he was a goner for sure. I thought like it would have been so weird seeing him in a different jersey. I just feel like he's been there so long, you know, second overall pick, him and Sid and Letang and all these guys. It just would have been weird seeing him in a Capital jersey or Rangers or something like that where all the rumors were going. But looks like he got that extra year that he wanted. Still pretty decent, you know, 6 million average or so, and he gets to stay with his boy Sid.
Yeah, I mean, good contract. Yeah, 6 million, 4 years. I mean, at 35, you can't ask for much better than that, I don't think.
No, that's gravy. If he plays out the rest of his you know, contract, that's good. If he ends up retiring early, he probably takes that signing bonus and doesn't worry about the last year of the contract. But he's still got a lot of legs left, I think, for him. They definitely are in win now mode and trying to get the last little bit out of him, but and then see what happens.
Yeah, and then you mentioned the Hawks there too. Like you said, unloading everybody at the draft. I mean, I don't know what their plan is over there. Tank for Bedard maybe is what everyone's saying, but they did add two players today in Domi and Athanasiou at each 1 year at a $3 million hit. But I mean, Domi, I love Domi, but he's been a suitcase over the last couple of years. Like he just can't seem to find a team that fits or wants to keep him for the long haul.
Yeah, he's definitely bounced around a little bit for sure. I mean, smaller guy, seems like a really good guy in the locker room, can kind of play all throughout the lineup. But I wonder if Chicago could be a spot where he gets to play a little bit more, kind of like how he was playing on Montreal. And I don't know if he'll be playing center or wing there, but I'm sure there'll be lots of ice time to go around for him. And my one buddy Lucas Reichel, he's going to be coming up from the A. He's a center or a winger, so it'll be interesting to see if Patty Kane stays. And obviously, Athanasiou has a ton of speed, so
yeah,
I don't think they have high hopes this year to be a good team, but at least those guys will get some good ice time.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Domi for sure. I mean, because when he gets the opportunity, it seems like he produces usually pretty decently. But like you said, smaller guy that likes to play that, you know, on the edge, gritty type of game. You saw him. I mean, in juniors and at the World Juniors, he was able to perform at an elite level, and you know he's been trying to find a place where he can perform consistently at that level.
Yeah.
Evander Kane staying with the Oilers.
Yeah, that's very good for the Oilers. I think he played really well in the playoffs and the end of the season, and he just seems to be a perfect fit for McDavid. Like he's a guy that can keep up with McDavid. He puts the puck in the net. You know, nice to get that big paycheck for Kaner. And he's gonna need it to pay off some of those debts that he has.
Yeah, 4 years, 5.13. I thought there were going to be some teams that might have overpaid him more than that or paid him more than that. But, I mean, like you said, it's a good fit for him in Edmonton, and he definitely plays well with McDavid. So I think they got him for a decent price based on his performance as of his time in Edmonton throughout the regular season, the playoffs. And yeah, it'll definitely help with some of those debts that he's got going on for sure. I don't think it'll quite cover them all, but maybe maybe he'll get a signing bonus in there somewhere.
He can chip away a little bit.
Yeah, over the next couple of years. There's a bunch of big signings here. What do we got?
Did you see the trade that just happened?
No, do we have some breaking news?
Brent Burns to Carolina. That's a huge one.
To Carolina.
Yeah, and it looks like San Jose's retaining 33% of the contract.
Holy shit.
That's a big one for Carolina. They've been looking for a big D to kind of fill in for Dougie Hamilton leaving last year, and to get a guy like that seems pretty good.
Dang, for a conditional 23 third-round pick, Steven Lorentz, and I don't know how to pronounce his other name, Ute Makiniemi? Is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. It's quite the package for sure.
Yeah, I read earlier that there was potential he was moving, but it's gonna be odd not seeing Brent Burns in a San Jose jersey.
No, that's gonna be a really weird one. I mean, so now it's just Carlson left in San Jose. Obviously, that helps San Jose kind of open up some cap space and sign some more guys. But
yeah,
big pickup for Carolina.
What do you think of
free agent frenzy day?
Say that again. Sorry.
I said this free agent frenzy day. We're getting some breaking news as we speak.
Yeah, and what do you think of Burnsy going to Canes? Obviously, that was the team that you were drafted by, so you have a sweet spot for them. What do you think that's gonna do for them?
Yeah, that'll really bolster their blue line. I think they lost D'Angelo. They couldn't quite pay him. He was a good offensive threat for them this year, and to bring in a guy like that, it kind of gives them a superstar power. Like they feel like that's kind of what they're missing. They've had a couple good runs in the playoffs. They just can't quite get over that hump. And I think, it was tough. They were missing Freddie Anderson in playoffs last year. And obviously they got a great coach in Rod Brindamore and my former line mate in my first NHL game, Roddy. I think that's a huge pickup for them.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Carolina bounces back after, not making it quite as far in the playoffs as they wanted to last year. But I agree. That's a big pickup on the back end for the Canes for sure. Another back end signing, Sergachev, 8 years, 8.5 with Tampa. That's a huge contract.
Big money. He's gonna have to fill in for who did they just traded out the captain, right? Or the former Rangers captain. Who's they traded.
I'm blanking. Who did they trade? Was that just in the last day or so?
Yeah, it was like last week. They were trying to open up some cap space. They traded the big defenseman to McDonough. That's right.
That
McDonough to Nashville.
Yeah, that was a big pickup for Nashville. I saw that. That's they have a tough team over there too in Nashville, so that's just gonna add to the physicality and the size that they have over there. They're a feisty team, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, big time. Who's your official team? Is it Calgary? Calgary Flames?
Yeah. Well, maybe not for much longer.
It's a tough one with Gaudreau finally announcing that he's not coming back, eh?
I mean, if any Flames fans are really surprised by the fact that, this is my opinion. If you're surprised by the fact that Johnny's leaving Calgary as a fan, I think you're pretty delusional if you think he was going to be staying. Especially after the year that he had last year. He's been here for a ton of years since. He got drafted in 2011. Obviously went to the NCAA, lit it up there, but he hasn't really won it. He hasn't won anything since he got to Calgary, and it's a tough market. He's an American boy. He wants to go back to the U.S. Taxes here probably aren't great either.
No, they're not
compared to some of those other places. But I don't know. I had a feeling that Johnny was going, but now the big question is if they're going to be able to keep Tkachuk for a significant amount of time.
Yeah, he could be the next one that leaves, right? they'll probably in talks with him right now to sign the extension. And if it goes the way that it went with Gaudreau, you wait that long, and at this point, I think all Flames fans just kind of knew. Didn't really matter how much money they offered him. He just didn't want to stay. And, it's a tough loss for Calgary. Obviously, he's been unbelievable in the regular season. Maybe not as good in the playoffs, but, last year he had that big Game 7 winner. I felt like he was kind of turning the corner there in the playoffs, but looking like maybe New Jersey, right? The rumors maybe, a 7-8 year deal or 7-year deal, 10.2 is what the rumor is. We'll see what happens today, but hopefully we get some breaking news on that front here sometime today.
Yeah, it's I read that Calgary offered him I think it was 10 for 8 years, so an $80 million contract. So it'll be interesting to see what he does end up signing at elsewhere. Whether it's 10.2, I've seen up to 10.9 as well, I think. But I mean, anywhere in that 10 to $11 million range, I think is where Gaudreau's going to land at. I mean, you look at guys like Tavares, who are making $11 million and don't have, not to bash Tavares or anything, but don't have even a fraction of the numbers that, that Johnny has put up, especially this year in the regular season at least. The big thing for Johnny is it'll be interesting to see how he performs now after a contract year, because obviously, him coming into this contract year, he wanted a big payday and a big contract, and he definitely put it all on the ice and left it out there. He didn't get the championship, but from an individual performance, he definitely lit it up and deserves that money. Now it'll just be, like I said, hoping at least for him he can keep that going. Or I guess hoping for the team that signs him that he can keep that going. I'm sure once he signs for $80 million, he'll be able to kick back a little bit. But
yeah, I think he had 111 points last year. So if he can redo that, I mean, good timing for him to have a heck of a year. And it seemed like Tkachuk kind of did a similar thing where now he's like got the upper hand in the negotiations. But you got to be able to do it in a non-contract year too. So I think we'll see. If he ends up in New Jersey, I just feel like there's just so many small guys on their team. I don't know about their defense 100%, but you still need some big guys to play with, some hard guys to play with. I just don't see like New Jersey being a great fit. I think Philly might be a little bit better. Yeah. But they'll be skilled there in New Jersey, but I guess we'll see where he ends up landing.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to go to Philly. I think for the last few years, that's what I've been hearing, is Philly was a spot. I mean, his best friend's Kevin Hayes, but then, like you just mentioned, last few days, I've been hearing a lot about New Jersey too, going back to his home state. Some more breaking news here, major signing, Darcy Kemper, we were just talking about before we hopped on, that he hadn't signed yet. He just signed 5 years, 5.25 to Washington.
Wow. So Washington got their guy. I thought that was the rumor, and obviously Kemper gets paid. Good for him. Stanley Cup champ.
Yep, coming off a cup, going to another former, cup-winning team. Interesting that he'd want to leave Colorado, but obviously he wants that paycheck. So we'll see. We'll see what the Avs are going to end up doing over the next, couple years here. I think they have some contracts maybe that they're going to have to re-sign.
Yeah, it's going to be
Nate McKinnon, and
could be a cap crunch. I mean, they just got Nichushkin in here for, what was it, 7-8 year deal.
Yep,
8
years.
Over $6 million, and then they're going to have to re-sign McKinnon. They've already got Landeskog on a pretty good deal. Makar's actually a pretty good looking deal right now, around $9 million. But it'll be McKinnon. He'll have another huge year this year, I'm sure, contract year, and see if he takes the discount, kind of like his boy Sid would.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see what happens with Nate, and if he takes that hometown discount. I feel like he he's on a discount rate now. So do you think he'll take another? Do you think he'll want to take another discount on his deal or what?
Yeah, he's on a huge discount right now. I don't know how Sakic was so good with getting him at such a good contract. I think maybe he had a couple of years where he had a couple off years, but the last 5 years he's been so good, and he's not making that much. So it's time for him to get paid, but I'm sure he wants to win again too. So it'll kind of be all up to him.
Lehkonen re-signs with Colorado, 5 years, $4.5 million. Where are they getting all of this money?
I don't know how Joe Sakic is pulling this off. I guess he's the president now, and they brought in a new GM because they didn't want to lose him. But
yeah,
all the signings that they've made the last couple of days. You got Lehkonen, you got Georgiev, you got Manson. The list goes on. I mean, Nichushkin. They're all making decent amounts of money too. So it's going to be interesting to see how they fit all this in under the cap.
Yeah, and like we were talking about, Nate. See, it's going to come down to seeing if Nate will sign that team-friendly deal. Man, a lot of action today. I mean, I don't think I've seen a free agency with this many big guys in a while. I mean, last year I didn't find it too exciting. I mean, we still got Kadri and Gaudreau on the board. Anyone else you're looking forward to seeing, or that you got that you think is going to do well in their new role?
Yeah, I think those are the main ones. I mean, everybody wants to know where Gaudreau and Kadri end up, and then kind of the chips will kind of start falling big time after that. But
yeah,
who knows? It might take a couple of days. It seems like a lot of teams are just re-signing their own players, whether it's to extensions or just bringing them back. But, I mean, Colorado is going to be a wagon again next year. It looks like Tampa's getting better today. Edmonton gets Jack Campbell and Kane. So those are some really good signings, in my opinion. We'll see how Campbell does after going from such a big market in Toronto, and seemed like everybody kind of loved him there, and
seems like him depending on the day.
Yeah, that's true too. I mean, he had his struggles, but he was also solid and kind of just priced himself out of Toronto. But now Toronto's got Matt Murray as their goalie. See how that goes.
Murray went to Toronto, went from Ottawa to Toronto, so that'll be interesting. I mean, speaking of Ottawa too, like Ottawa looks like they could be a decent team next year. I mean, they got Giroux, like you said, they had DeBrincat now, with Brady. I mean, that's going to be a good top two lines. I mean, maybe Johnny goes there. I don't think he will, but I doubt Gaudreau would go over there. But I mean, with what they're pulling off so far, I mean, they could pull another rabbit out of the hat. I never thought I'd see Giroux or DeBrincat go to Ottawa. So,
no, for sure. I mean, I think the kids are going to have to take a step. You got that Stützle there that he can be an absolute superstar in the league, and Kachuk, and they picked up a goalie in Talbot. So we'll see if they can, come close to making the playoffs, or just kind of make that next step, because they could be an exciting team down the road for sure.
Definitely. And like you said, Tampa re-signed Cernak and Chiarelli as well. So I mean, there's a lot
Sergachev,
we mentioned Sergachev. I mean, that's another team that is going to have cap issues coming up here. I mean, that's 3 8-year deals that are pretty hefty. You got 8.5, 6.2, and 5.2. I mean, those are some pretty big contracts when you have some coming up here.
Yeah, they're pretty lucky. They got Stamkos on a pretty good deal. Kucherov's on a pretty cap friendly deal, considering, I mean, no state tax. That helps a lot to get those guys under 9 or 10 mil. So it's they obviously had to move McDonough, and they got a great goalie in Vasilevsky, so I'm sure they'll be contending again next year. But they've played a lot of hockey the last few years to go to 3 straight cup finals, and it still looks like they're trying to get better. They're signing guys. On some other breaking news, Mark Stahl, he goes to Florida on 750. Andrei Burakovsky goes to the Kraken. Eric Gustafsson.
That's a big one for them too. Wow, Burakovsky to the Kraken.
Yeah, that's big money too. We'll see. It looks like he had a good year this year. 80 games, 61 points. And he was pretty good in the playoffs. So that's a big signing.
Yeah, he was huge for the Avs.
Yeah, tough loss for the Avs, but
man, they won the cup and they let a few guys go now. Hey, I mean, Kadri. It doesn't look like Kadri might be going back.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the room that you're making to bring all these other guys back. So
yeah, dang.
I'd like to see some other teams. Like, where's Calgary? Carolina made the big trade. Montreal doesn't look like they've done much today.
Man, Calgary does absolutely nothing ever. There's nothing. Tree Living literally sits in his office and picks his nose, I think, because he does nothing. He does nothing.
Rangers haven't done anything. So, there's still a lot of time left in the next couple of days. I'm sure they're waiting to see what happens with these other. Maybe Goudreau does come back. Who knows?
Imagine
I doubt
if he actually came back after all that. We got Ben Sherratt going to Detroit.
Ben Sherratt to Detroit. A couple of smaller signings coming in. Eric Stahl to Florida. The brothers are going to Florida. Mark and Eric.
Wow.
Eric didn't even play last year. He was I think he played in the Olympics and was kind of a little bit in the American League, but that's kind of a cool little signing that Florida was able to make. Florida
gets some depth of some family depth there. Good Branson going to Columbus. 4 years for $4 million. Wow, he did not impress me at all this year in Calgary, so I am not sad to see him go. I'm glad Tree Living didn't waste money on him, but $4 million for good Branson.
ticket for him. To be a defenseman, maybe the top, he's probably like a 4 to 6 kind of pairing kind of thing, maybe 3 to 6. You get paid. Should have been a defenseman.
Should have been a defenseman. All right. Any other signings you want to talk about today? We still got some more pouring in, but we can update those on. We can talk about those on the next episode if none come in here in the next couple seconds.
Yeah, no, I think that's it. I think it's been an interesting week, interesting day, and Stampede's going on here in Calgary, so I got to go to the concert tonight and have a little bit of fun.
There you
Chuck
go.
Wagons too. Yeah.
Going to see the Chucks. Chucky at the Chucks.
That's right.
All right. Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this week's episode. Talking about free agency, talking to our friend Dill about music NFTs and the crypto space. We'll keep people updated in the next week on free agency through Twitter, and we'll talk about, hopefully, I'm sure by next week we'll have Kadri and Goudreau somewhere, so we'll touch on some more hockey next week as well.
Sounds good.
All right, buddy. Have fun at the Chucks. Be safe. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
Never. We'll talk to you later.
All right.